Good day, everyone. Welcome to Dealmakers. We are at our third online session, English session. So old timers know the drill. I need to spend a couple of minutes to explain what this club is about for the newcomers. We have a few here today. So in case you are not signed up to Dealmakers accounts, please do, because our sessions might, fluctuate to and fro over the next weeks, and we will be publishing our next sessions mostly in Telegram and then in a few trusted WhatsApp chats. So in Instagram and Facebook, I'll probably be publishing these videos and photos only. So if you want to stay tuned up and attend our sessions, please join our group chat in Telegram. You can find it in the bio of the Instagram account. So what's this club is all about? It's about cognitive skills. We are trying to train our minds, how we think, to try to think, analyze, apply logic, and be creative effectively. And all these that you see on the slide, critical thinking, brainstorming, pattern recognition, all these useful skills for business analysts, IT people, well, anyone, teachers, businessmen, family people, they're all important, but most important skills are about getting information, comprehending, perception, and attention. Without them, all the rest is impossible. So first we need to focus on actually understanding what we hear and on our active listening skills. That's why we have few rules in this club, house rules. First one is we maintain respect, attention, and silence while someone is talking. Second, we do respect all opinions. Since we are humans and we are intelligent humans, obviously we will clash on some points, and it's absolutely okay, but we do it in a respectful way. We do respect the right of everyone to have opinion that differs from ours. And finally, the third rule, we try as much as possible not to have any prejudices or stereotypes when we discuss the problems, because they hinder our progress. It's unavoidable that we have some cultural codes, some beliefs, but when we enter the discussion, we need to try as much as possible to start it with a clean slate. Otherwise, it will basically fog our vision, and we will have less angles of attack to this problem. Traditionally, before we start, I used to give you some food for thought. And again, since we have few newcomers here, I'd like to repeat some of the material that we covered and start with the basic, actually, for the reason why we're here, Dealmakers Club. When we talk about cognitive skills, the problem with all our brain work is we have few pre-installed bugs, basically, in our software, which is our mind. And it can be illustrated by a simple analogy, right? Imagine some kind of barrel full of red and white marbles. And if we basically start, we don't know what's in there, how many white and how many red spheres are in this barrel or whatever. And we can only take a few of them, one at the, I don't know, 5 at a time, and then throw them back. Obviously, as per the laws of statistics, there is a belief if we do this operation, take 5 marbles, count the number of whites and reds, and throw them back. After, for example, 1,000 or maybe even million tries, we'll have some pretty good idea what's the percentage of white and red spheres in this barrel, basically. But that's only a law of statistics that kind of presumes that the experiment is fair, that there is no problem with that everything, all the white and red spheres are basically distributed evenly, right? But the truth is, if our red spheres are somewhat heavier than the white ones, they might settle down, precipitate to the bottom of the barrel, and we will end up getting white spheres only. And after a million tries without getting a single red sphere, we will obviously believe that there is no such thing as a red sphere. All the marbles in that barrel are white colored, and that will be error. that will be a mistake, right? And that's exactly what is a bias. When our experiment is already prejudiced to start with, when there is some factors, like for example, the weight of the red spheres that we did not account for because we did not know, that's a biased experiment. And in all our thinking, there are a few biases, again, inherent, incorporated in our thinking, in our brains, that came with basically genetics, that will abstract our thinking. And the goal, the final objective of the Dealmakers Club is to find these biases, um, educate ourselves on their existence and how to fight them, and most importantly, basically recognize that they do exist. And most of the time we will not even be able to get rid of them, but as long as we know that they're there, we can adjust our thinking. So that's our main goal, and I'll leave you to think about this, and we continue with the game. The main reason we gather here at the Dealmakers Club, we play Sapiens anti-debate game. The main difference from actual debate is we do not try to win some kind of position here. Um, Basically, in debate, there are 2 or 3 or 4 sides, and each one tries to win a discussion. In Dealmakers Club, in the Sapiens game, we are not choosing sides. Basically, you can argue for any position, for you can switch position over the game. Basically, it's not about choosing some position, it's about considering it from all possible angles. Secondly, we do not fight for every point, as we have to do in debates. We have to prove that opponent point is wrong. In Dealmaker, in Sapiens game, we allow counterpoints. We do respect the fact that for every position there are some counterpoints, and they are logical and they are reasonable. There is no need to try to destroy all of them. You just need to validate their existence and adjust your thinking as per the number of arise counterpoints. And finally, in debate, people who win most clash points, well, they win the debate. In Sapiens game, we are not again trying to win. We're not trying to come up with a so-called right decision, right solution. You come up to this game with your own opinion, and you leave this game with your own opinion. Your main benefit is that you have spent time, you practice it, unbiased thinking, unprejudiced thinking, and basically you will make up your mind based on several arguments from different sides, not only your own um, beliefs that you came up with at the beginning of a discussion. So today's game is quite simple. I had a conversation with a few friends yesterday, and we somehow start touching this subject of immortality. There are some scientists that do believe that humanity is quite close to achieving immortality, be it by technical or biological means. In this particular discussion, it will not be important. We will not specify, will it be by making ourselves cyborgs, or by downloading our conscience into the computers, or by some new disruptive medical technologies. Not important. What I'd like you to discuss, imagine that you are a group of scientists that actually discovered the secret of immortality. And now you have to decide between yourself. You're discussing, should you disclose this information to humanity at all? Because it could be dangerous for everyone. So that's today's basically game rule. Again, reminding you, you are not discussing what are the means of achieving the immortality. You are only discussing, do we need to disclose that information to everyone, to all billions of people on the earth, or should we not, because it will pose some danger to our civilization? For the newcomers, how we play. If you press the button, участники or members, whatever you see on your screens, there is a button called raise your hand, поднять руку. When you press that button, I will see that you have your argument ready, and I will start turning your microphones one by one so that we're not abstracting each other. I'll listen to you. We analyze your argument. If that passes the judgment of mine, you score 1 point. Then after we congregate all these arguments, we start destroying them again. Any one you choose. For every successful destruction of an argument, you score 2 points. At the end of the day, someone will score most points and will win the game and be named Dealmaker of the Day. But that's again not important. What's important is you'll get to practice intelligent, respectful discussion, analysis, logic, and basically increase your cognitive skills on all levels. Vlad.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a good weekend. I have an argument against to begin with, and it's a pretty simple argument. My argument is due to immortality and traditional reproductive cycles, we are faced with a danger of overpopulation and overusing all of our resources in a matter of a couple of generations. So, argument against overpopulation.
Okay, thank you. So, does humanity need immortality? No, because of overpopulation. Blood, 1 point. Shulpan.
I'm also voting for against because it also comes with the overpopulation, but here I want to touch the environmental aspect that it will bring to the destruction of environment. As we can see today, it's already progressing. So,
Shulpan, well, obviously it's a danger. I'm not sure there is direct link between number of people on the earth and destruction of ecology. It depends on how smart we use our resources. So it's not automatic process. 1 billion of people can destroy the planet and 10 billion of people can live happily on this planet. So it's not guaranteed that we'll destroy ecology. So you need to prove it somehow else, basically. Next one is Stas. Please switch on your microphone. Next one is Timur. Please switch on your microphone.
Hello, everyone. I have argument 4. Throughout the history, we have some precious people. I talk about scientists in general.
Okay, thank you, Timur. So basically, you are talking about saving the talented people, scientists, artists, and so on, right? Amir?
I will agree. Some great minds should have been living forever. And another argument is we are moving forward, and hopefully soon we will colonize other planets, and we will need a lot of human resources.
Okay, thank you, Amir. That's a very valid idea that we might need more people for colonization. I have one problem with that argument, that we don't know if it will happen and when it will happen. It might be happening in 100 or 200 years. We might not have technology for long period of time, and you need to decide on immortality issue like now. Your discussion is going on right now. So if you are trying to advocate for it based on space missions that might be happening in 200 years, maybe the right idea is to hold it, the secret, for 200 years. Okay, so that's why I cannot ratify that argument as yet. It doesn't concern the present discussion. Okay, and the next in line is Anwar.
Argument 4, and I want to use Amir's argument a little bit differently about the space travel. One of the main hurdles at the moment, we can't travel to Mars, for example, to explore it, to build something. But one of the main hurdles that scientists are facing at the moment is the length of the travel. So people don't want to spend 3 years just to go to the planet, then work there for 1 year, then go back for 4 years. They will lose 10%, not 10%, 20% of their lives.
Okay, I got you. Thank you, Anwar. Yeah, I agree. That is a problem, that we do not want to invest a big share of our lives to go some missions. I wouldn't. Let's maybe extend your argument a little bit more, not just space missions, but pretty much any long kind of mission, being Arctic or being something related to oceans. And that will indeed let more people to be involved. Next speaker is Vlad.
Okay, thank you. According to Forbes statistics, there are about 162,000 people serving life sentence as of right now. And to prevent a further counter argument to an execution, there are only 23 countries in the world that have legal execution. So in the case of people serving life sentence, And to make it more clear, a life sentence doesn't mean your whole life. It actually means 15 or 25 years or more. And that's why, sometimes in like American movies or something, we say he was assigned 5 life sentences. That actually means like 65 years. So people who are actually never really meant to leave jail or prison, that's why they're given these sentences, will. Not only will they leave these prison cells, they will be completely desocialized by the years of being segregated from the normal society.
Wow. When you started, I thought you will talk about something else, that it will be too cruel to keep someone in jail for eternity. Your main argument is jailing someone for a long period of time, like a couple of centuries, will make that person the destructive element in our society. Okay, that's very interesting argument. Next one is Timur. Please switch on your microphone.
I have a simple argument for less suffering, because every day we have so many dies, 100,000 people die, and these people have friends, relatives, and all these people suffer. And with this immortality, it will be no more suffering people because of that.
Okay, yeah, very logical. So next is Anwar.
The argument for we cannot hold the invention, because if this invention might cause something that we don't know, but this invention can be basis for some invention that would be matter more for future of humanity. Because if we for example, if nuclear energy was invented, firstly the most popular was nuclear bombs, but then it came to the invention of nuclear energy, which gives the electricity to towns, to countries, and etc. So we might not know at the moment what our invention, which is pretty big, can factor to maybe even more inventions. So it's basically it's just scientific reason not to hold the invention, because it might give suffering, but we don't know for which good it might come.
Okay, unexpected good from the invention. Okay, yes, that's an argument to consider. Okay, Anwar, 1 point. And so I suggest we go to counter argument session. Let me demonstrate what you have right now. This is your table, your arguments. So you can start. Amir, your hand is up. You'd like to go? Go.
The conflict between generations, that makes sense that it will probably be, especially with we now can predict the fifth industrial revolution. It will be integration of human intelligence with artificial intelligence. So it will make great change between the future generation, ours, and the last book of Stephen Hawking. He said that we will die as a species soon, but if we will be able to live longer, we could decrease this difference in knowledge or in skills and abilities, because some people will be already integrated with some skills, they will be integrated with artificial intelligence, so they will learn faster and obtain some skills in a minute, for example. But as soon as we live long enough to come up with those skills, we can still be able to compete with them. So we will not die as the leftovers. So
okay,
it will be the solution of this conflict.
Yeah, I think I got you. So basically, if there is more time, that means the generations that were before us, they will have time to adjust to this new information flow. Basically, our babushkas will learn how to use iPhone and Spotify, etc., etc. So there will be less problem with between generations. So I agree. 2 points, Amir. Askar, next one.
Okay, I'll try to speak against the same argument, overpopulation, and I believe it's not working, because overpopulation will never happen, because it's not a linear process. As we know, maybe in the last century, there was a scientist called Malthus, and he developed the theory about the golden million who will live in the best conditions, and all other people will die or suffer because the earth cannot fit everybody. But we see that this didn't happen, because it's not a linear process. It's not you cannot just multiply the number of people every year. And on the second, on another hand, a lot of people who have eternal life in the future, they might decide not to have children and to spend their lives in some other way than like raising children, giving them like their heritage, because a lot of people, maybe not a lot of people, but some people really do have children because they want to leave something behind them after they die. They want to have ancestors. They want to have somebody who will some trail on the earth.
On the first part concerning golden billion and other people suffering, well, two reasons. First of all, population is rising. That's unavoidable fact. We came from 6 billion to 7 billion in a very short amount of time, and we'll probably in the next 50 years will come to 10 billion. So linear or not, population will rise on the planet of Earth. Besides, we are not talking about time scale, right? Since we're talking mortality, it could be hundreds of years. So at one point, planet will not be able to sustain at whatever curve, linear or some other graph. But I like the second part of your argument that people have kids because they'd like to have heritage. And some people might opt not to have kids when they're immortal. That's logical. Personally, I think that will not stop overpopulation as such, because people have kids not only because of heritage, but for the experience to love kids. And I think there will be people coming into the planet. But as a counter argument, I think it's a valid one. So I score you 2 points. The next one is Vlad.
Lifelong jail sentences. As I was saying, even though life sentences are given in increments of 15 and 25 years, they are given in such a manner nowadays as to not have these people leave prison until they're very old and senile, essentially. If we follow this term of events, and we get to the world where immortality does exist, same logic upholds. We're going to have people who are not meant to leave the prison ever. So we know that government reforms and prison reforms, just like education reforms, happen all the time, and it's very straightforward that such a new development in prison system will occur.
Yes, I agree. The prison reform will probably happen. Yes, that will change situation. Next one is Timur.
I want to attack argument. This is fear for motivation. And I think contrary, this it is unmotivator, because if we have old man who have 70 years and he doesn't want to, for example, learn programming because he have 10 15 years to become virtuoso in this, and he might die, yes, and he think, oh, why I need this, I gonna die after 10 years. And if we have immortality, every man, no matter how old he is, take some new skills to learn, take some new sphere to learn, and he not think about death.
Yeah, it's very logical. We're not restricted with time. We can basically invest it in any way we want. Timur, 2 points. Next one is Stas, and I'm always anticipating Stas' arguments with Igor.
Okay, I will attack bigger opportunities.
Okay.
Well, we have such a country like Japan, where people live until they're like a long 100 years, and as well they work for until all their life. So, in that case, the younger specialists don't have opportunity for promotion because their elder competitors simply don't leave their place.
Absolutely agree. That might happen. That's one of the dangers stagnating of society, if people do not leave their roles and will not allow fresh blood to come up with their own ideas. 2 points, Stas. Next one is Anwar.
Trying to attack arguments less suffering when people lose dear ones. And I'm assuming here that though we invent immortality, people will still die of, I don't know, of accidents, of tragic, I don't know, bombing, nuclear attack, or something that the invention that we created doesn't affect. So at the moment, if we are experiencing losing of the dear one who is 90 years old, 100 years old, 110 years old, we are preparing ourselves to their eventual death. So we are less suffering because we expect that we are spending more time with them, we are preparing ourselves to die. With immortality, everyone would assume that everyone is immortal, we will not lose anyone. So when something will happen accidentally that we cannot achieve, the suffering will be more because we didn't expect the loss of the dear one, but we lost it.
I agree. That's a very logical approach to that. Indeed, unexpected losing of someone does make us suffer much more. No are 2 points. So next one is Ajar.
So my argument is related to the government control. The greatest example is China. So in fact, they made sort of like a taxes to the children and actually taxes based on the income level. So in fact, taxes for the second child is completely different between two like people who has different kinds of income level. But in this case, I would say that for any children, people would pay based on their own income. So for sure, it will not stop everyone, but for sure it will limit people to have many children at least.
Yeah, I agree. That's also a possible line of attack. So if overpopulation will start becoming a danger to countries or planet, government can step in and try to regulate it. Next one is Amir.
I will try to oppose social tension. Social tension will exist forever. Like we already have a lot of people like being against abortion or like vaccines, and we cannot do anything about it. We can just like say it's not mandatory if you don't want like it, don't do it. That's it. You can solve the problem with immortality the same way, like just saying to people, I'm not forcing you to be immortal. If you don't want, don't be. Like that's it. So I don't think that it will be a new problem which will come with mortality. With social tension will exist and is existing right now. So like we can just solve the problem by making it in mandatory.
Okay, I got you. I think the main reason I understood what you're saying, that people should not object if it's personal choice, but people do object. Simple analogy is abortions. It's a personal choice of a woman to make or not make aborts, but people object. Not their personal business if you're male, but they come and do some political actions. So, and there is social tension concerning that on a lot of levels. So unfortunately, we cannot say just making it mandatory will avoid any tension. Some people will be against it based on their own beliefs. So that's unfortunately unavoidable. Sorry, next one is Askar.
I'll try to attack again saving talents, and my argument is very alike with the argument against equal opportunities, and this preserving, maybe not saving, preserving talents from the old times, maybe not good for new talents. As we, for example, in science, we have, if you have had Newton alive, then maybe we will not have Einstein, because no one will dare to come up to fight against the old, well-known famous theories.
Yes, I agree. It's already happening. Unfortunately, the power of authority does obstruct progress. Some old scientists with their old beliefs, there are a lot of cases when they actually made life difficult for younger generations. So that's quite possible. Next one is Vlad.
As you all know, you all have relatives, you all have children, well, not all children, but you all have fathers and mothers. Some of you have children. You know that people who can hurt you the most are people who are closest to you, because they have your love, they have your respect, your unconditional love, so to speak. So, when this happens for, let's say, 50 years or so, you receive these hurtful attacks and unexpected things happen to you from the ones you love, because they're closest to you. Once you extend this amount at a normal progression to as little as 1,000 years, let alone an infinity, right? Or for how long we're thinking about immortality, it's going to start outweighing the initial, the one-time suffering you receive from a single loss. So I think that's all I had. Yeah, so the cumulative effect of little misdeeds and upsets you receive from your relatives, which are bound to happen, over a certain period of time will undoubtedly outweigh the one-time loss that we kind of seem natural anyways. And
Okay, Vlad. I hope I understood you right, but as per the rules, if I did not understood you right, it's your problem, right? You are saying that cumulative grievances at little problems and conflicts between the relatives will make you wish them dead after a couple of centuries. And that will be kind of okay. That's what I understood, Vlad. I see that you are saying, no, 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 that's not what I meant. That's what you gave me to analyze. So try to rephrase it next time. You know the rules. I'm becoming more and more stupid as time goes. So try to be more clear next time. I cannot score that, obviously. Next one is Kerim.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I want to attack the argument about non-retractable action. As we know, I want to give example about the atomic energy. Once it was opened many times ago, the intention was to cheapest energy. But then Mr. Kurchatov and other good people made some bombs, let's say it like that. And still we could say that immortality, the expected value of that is much higher than the expected value of losses and risks.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you, Kerim. First of all, that's a good analogy. If we had absolute guarantee that the story of nuclear weapon and story of immortality will be absolutely the same, then I would agree with you. But we do not have that guarantee. We do not know that the history will follow the same path. With nuclear weapon, yes, it came up more or less okay right now, although still we fear Third World War. But with immortality, we don't know what's going to happen. There might be some really dangerous consequences, some of which you already put on the table. And there is no guarantee, at least there is no proof that I have heard that it will come out okay. There is a hope and analogy of nuclear weapons, okay? And that's not enough. Asghar?
I'll try to attack argument about less suffering. And I believe that less suffering is not always good, because suffering sometimes it is what makes us a human. And if we remember, almost all great pieces of literature are about suffering and losing someone dears. And when we lose suffering as a human beings, we might lose some part of our morality and some part of our nature that makes us be as human.
Interesting. I like the idea. I'm not sure how guaranteed is that. I mean, is that really...
There is no guarantee. There is no guarantee.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah. What I'm trying
it's
to
our nature. It's our nature that we don't have guarantee.
What I'm trying to say, is there strong connection between suffering and some morality or some change for the good? It can work that way. There are cases, but there are reverse cases as well, when people turn bad because of suffering. Let's say Joker, as everyone knows. I'm kidding, but obviously in life you have seen some people who went through prison, went through some other tragedies in life, and that did not make them good. That made them angry, that made them hateful. So although I agree with you in certain cases, it's not a guaranteed case for whole humanity. So that's why I cannot take it as a counter argument on general basis. But thanks for idea. Next one is Vlad.
My argument is against long missions. I believe that's what it's called. Okay, so the argument here, let me repeat it, make sure I understand it correctly. We are going to need human resources in order to explore planets that lie beyond our reach currently. Okay, well, yes, or with the possibility of colonizing them in the future, correct?
Yeah, basically what was meant that right now it's a showstopper because it's too long. With immortality, it will not be showstopper anymore.
Okay, well, I beg you differ, because that is a showstopper, unarguably, and you couldn't say that it isn't. But a bigger showstopper at the moment, which having immortality does not guarantee anytime soon, is that long space exploration missions require a substantial amount of resources for fueling, provision, repairs, and communication. And in fact, we have been able to land on some planets like Venus, Mercury, and we used robots, which we're going to continue to do because they don't require things like provision and they can be packed more lightly, and therefore they require less fuel. Now, having an immortality in the play does make it possible that sometime in the future we're going to come up with a better way of fuel and such and such and such, but that's not what the argument was. The argument was that just having a person live forever, we can spend them for, into the space in for an undetermined period of time. Well, they're going to need food.
Mm-hmm. I got you. I see. So basically, you are saying it's not the only showstopper, but the argument was about taking out of the picture, basically one problem. Obviously, there are a lot of problems to send people to Mars or Venus or somewhere, and Anwar has been saying about taking out one problem out of the picture and decide on solving the others. You're saying there are other problems not solved as yet. That's why it's not important. It's a valid logic, I guess, with one exception. We kind of agree that we'll extend this argument not only to the space missions, but to going to Arctics and, I don't know, oceanology or any long mission. Yeah, and the problem was about investing 10 years of your life without family. For a mortal person, it's completely different consideration. So I agree with you. Your logic is flawless, but I think it's not complete destruction of argument. Amir, next one.
Let's just agree first that any technology comes when we need it. According to some countings, world will be able to feed around 50 billion people. By the time we will have 50 billion people, definitely I think, hopefully, like people will feel the need to like colonize space. So we'll have technologies. We already by now kind of almost ready to colonize Mars, but by the time we will achieve 50 billion people on the Earth, like 99% that we will have enough technologies to do it in reality, I think.
I like your optimism, but optimism and presumption is not an argument. You're saying we will most likely 99% something will happen. We don't know. The answer is we simply don't know if it will happen. There are a lot of reasons why it might not happen like ever. I'll give you one just for the curiosity. You might have heard of space waste. All these satellites and all these Sputniks basically crushing each other, and there is all this waste cycling our planet. And there is a fear that in 30 more years, it will completely encapsulate us and we will not be able even send new satellites anymore. Forget about colonizing Mars or Venus. Right now, we are this close to basically enclosing whole planet in this garbage. So that's one of the scenarios how it will never happen. So unfortunately, I cannot take I like your optimism, positivity, but I cannot take you as a proof that we'll definitely send something to Mars. There are a lot of things that can go wrong. Anwar?
So I reconsidered my own argument, unexpected bonuses from invention, after listening of all the arguments that tried to against non-retractable decision, because the argument here is that with unexpected bonuses from invention, I argued that all knowledge is good, basically, because we don't know what knowledge could lead. But with non-retractable decision, we said that we don't know about the knowledge, so we cannot expect that bonuses from invention would be good or bad. We don't know, so we cannot use it as argument for, because it could be bad. And if knowledge is not retractable, we cannot contain it, and if bonuses are bad, mostly bad, it's not an argument for immortality.
Basically, you're saying outcomes can be good or bad, but since we cannot say with any level of certainness that which one it will be, maybe it will be both. It's not exactly an attack as such. It's you're putting on the second part of the weight your counter argument. It's It's one of the counter arguments on the no side, but it's not attack to the logic of unexpected bonuses. You cannot prove that there will not be any good sides out of disclosing information. Pretty much none of us can, probably. It's one of those indestructible arguments, at least as far as I see it. Interesting line of thought, but sorry, cannot score that. Next is Amir.
Originally, I wanted to oppose non-retractable decision, but I decided as an athlete to change to oppose the social tension. Like, definitely, at some moment, all the mortal people will die, only immortal ones will stay. So after the time passes, all those people opposing the like immortality will just die, and their ideas will get lost. That's the point. Like it's easier to like explain than like non-retractable decision.
That's very logical. That we're gonna score. Unfortunately, I cannot score you more than 2 points, but it deserves more. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that was a great game. I really enjoyed it. A lot of unexpected trains of thought, a lot of unexpected counter arguments. Now let me show you the board one last time. Again, as per our tradition, we do not have one common opinion on what's going to happen. I just like to comment that there are a lot of quality arguments. There's a lot of counter arguments today comparing to our previous sessions. You see a lot of red color, a lot of successful distractions. I like it, and I congratulate you on that. I'll see you next week. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.